Hey everyone, Leo's here. Not just a lightning episode. I have my friend Amir here with me to talk to me about SSH Posture Control. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, Leo's here. Not just a lightning episode. I have Amir here with me. Amir, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Living the dream. Amir, I wanted to nerd out with you on all things SSH Posture Control. This is part of a larger series that we're having around security. But before we go and nerd out on all those good things, who you are, what is it that you do?
Yeah, so first off, I'm the perfect nerd for you. So I'm Amir Brady. I am a technical program manager in enterprise and OS security within Azure Edge and Platforms in Microsoft.
Amir, I love, when we are nerding out on all the technical stuff. Security is one of those areas that it's just too big to cover. And there is always, different topics come to mind. And today we're here to talk about SSH posture control. For me, SSH, I know port 22. I know, what's the deal. Doesn't go beyond that a lot. I'm familiar with some of the security postures, but today we're here to talk about that in more serious way. So walk me through this. Like, what's the deal with SSH posture control, and why should we care about that?
Yeah. Okay. So first, let's start off with the way that SSH Posture Control works. So first off, it's
Hmm.
powered by Azure OSConfig, which is basically a modular security stack for Windows and Linux edge devices to kind of give multi authority device management over Azure Portal, CLI, GitOps, as well as local management. It essentially is decoupled, it's really portable and manageable, it's simple, and it really is the main driver behind SSH Posture Control. So, what is it specifically? SSH Posture Control enables you to audit and configure your SSH server posture on supported Linux distros such as Ubuntu, Red Hat, Azure Linux, CentOS, and more. It integrates seamlessly with Azure governance services such as Azure policy and machine configuration. So you can do three really important things, which is ensuring compliance with SSHD standards in your industry or org, reducing the attack surface of SSHD based remote management, and ensuring a consistent SSHD setup across your security fleet.
So, Amir, one question that I have for you, as I was preparing for this episode, and I was just kind of trying to understand what is it that we're seeing in the wild. So, can you share with me and the viewers, like, when you guys thinking about SSH and attack vectors with regards to SSH, what are the things that comes to mind when this pops?
Yeah, so exactly what you pointed to in the beginning when it came to port 22.
Mm.
SSH actually standardizes on port 22, which essentially means that attackers out in the wild are listening to port 22 at any IP that they can to try to find a way into a system. So having something like SSH posture control actually will reduce that attack surface and won't allow those bad actors to come in and do who knows what.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. This is such an interesting topic. Attack vectors, a lot of the time you don't think about it in the context of, you know, you hear a lot about 33889, right, with RDP and all of that, and you hear about SSH, but you never take the time to understand like what are the implementations or that can be done in order to avoid this. So I'm excited for you to show me how does that look like.
Well, of course. Well, I'll get off to the next part, which is kind of how SSH posture control works. The
Mm,
way it works with Azure policy and machine configuration is that there are two policies that you can set. One audit only behavior, which allows you to scan all of your fleet of Linux devices to see what's going on with all the SSH D settings on each and every separate machine, and our audit and configure behavior, which allows us to not just look at all the machines, but also automatically set the rules for them. So, usually, the workflow that most admins go for when they're using this is that they audit all their machines first, see the existing state, find any dependencies such as accounts, any automation that needs to be considered, right? And then kind of going to their management saying, well, okay, right, this is the set that it's currently at right now. Here's how we can do better according to the audit. And then
mm.
after things get approved, then they can just set it out, and then you don't have to worry about your SSHD base settings anymore.
Got it. Well, you know, the audit thing is kind of interesting, and I know that we're using a lot of Azure policy in order to do this type of stuff. And Azure policy came a long way. And with Microsoft Defender for Cloud, for example, in the context of, I like to talk about it in the context of Arc enabled servers. It's kind of interesting to see like the surface of discovery that we have here. And I think that Azure policy it's still one of those best kept secrets, if you ask me. I always like
Mhm.
to think of Azure policy as, GPO for the cloud.
Of
Um,
course.
and uh, and I'm curious to see how you guys are using that again in the context of SSH posture control.
Yeah, yeah. So going forward, we can actually show you a little bit of the scope of what SSH Posture Control actually covers,
Mhm.
which is first off, the easiest one that you can look at to the right is going to be the port. That is the most important part of SSH Posture Control. But then it goes into other really important things that always should be considered when you're trying to reduce your attack surface, such as your MAC algorithms, your ciphers that are configured, ensuring that root login is set to no, ensuring that you can't just SSH into a machine with an empty password, ensuring your allow groups, your deny groups, and your allow users and deny users are set correctly, and that an attacker can't just brute force their way into a machine by sending 50 to 100 to hundreds of thousands of requests by setting your max auth tries. So there are a lot of great features that are within SSH Posture Control, but the thing that I can do for you next is actually show you how it works.
Yeah, show me the magic.
Yeah. So here within Azure, we can look at some of the virtual machines that I have set. I currently have somewhere around 10 to 15 machines. I see 12 machines currently running right now, all Linux VMs, right? And how we employ SSH posture control is through what Lior said is Azure's best kept secret, Azure policy. So we go through policy, we go to definitions, and then we can search up audit SSH. After we find the audit SSH policy, we can then assign the policy, pick our scope, which for me is going to be our testing here, ensure that everything in the basics are correct, and then we can look at our parameters, which were the scope of rules that I just showed earlier. Right here, it shows the effect, which is audit if not exists, and it says all of the rules for SSHD base management as spoken about prior. From there, we can create a managed identity and then just review and create. So when you're actually doing this in the field, it will take some time to actually deploy. But for here, I actually already have a definition here for you to look at now. Let me look at assignments. So from here, we can actually see SSH posture control and its magic at work. I can see that out of the 12 devices that I have, I only have 7 that are currently compliant, right? And we can see that some of these machines are not compliant because they haven't been fully deployed yet. So they don't have a compliance report. This part is interesting. So we can actually go into all the other machines now, view our resource, and see what rules were set. We click on SSH server here, and then the rules that I showed you earlier would pop up here and show you why it's compliant, the reason, and the current state. But auditing isn't the only thing that we can do here. We can go back to Azure policy, go to definitions, and actually talk about the thing that I covered earlier, which is the automatic remediating and setting policy, which will not only just set the policy but also remediate any past machines that have SSHD based rules within Linux. So I can click it here, and it looks the exact same as Audit, but this is more important. This will remediate all the machines and change those rules. We can set the same parameters as before. We can set our Arc connected servers as true if we do have any in our fleet. Set the port number to 22 or change it to any port if you'd like to reduce your attack surface. Oh, create a remediation task to ensure that it also auto remediates all the machines that were created prior to the policy being implemented. And then we can review and then create. And then from there, you give yourself some time and you can actually go through all of your Linux-based machines and then see what has been remediated and what hasn't. So right now, one of our VMs, it seems, is still working on being added to Azure. But for the rest of them, all of them have automatically been remediated through our configure SSH policy for Linux. And we can go into those machines like prior and then see that our rules have changed and set to the proper rules that we want for our fleet.
So Amir, great demo. A couple of observations that I got, that I have while watching this demo. First of all, the list of rules. If you remember what I mentioned at the beginning, like to me, SSH is something that I take for granted, right? You open 22, you have a private key, you log into the machine, all good. But that list of rules is actually, I think, the most powerful thing here, because it kind of tells you what you don't know, And if you don't know something, how can you fix it? And to me, that's the one thing that I noticed out of this demo. So I really like the fact that with this posture control, you get all the rules and all of that. The second thing here is that remediation piece is something that I always find it interesting, because everyone want to have a secure environment, but no one is actually implementing a remediation plan. It's all extremely manual. Almost to a degree that is just painful to watch. So I really like how we implemented that over there.
Yes. So, like the magic that you were speaking about before with Azure Policy, right? Instead of having to go from machine to machine and ensure that all the SSHD based settings are right on every machine separately, when you might have a fleet of over 100 devices, you can employ this feature to capture it from top down without having to worry about double, triple, and quadruple checking each and every machine.
Yeah. All right. Amir, how do you get started with all of this?
Yeah, so there are going to be links in the description below to get started with all the documentation for SSH Posture Control. We look forward for you to look at them, get started, and if you have any questions, please, within the links, send us an email, and then we can get to you as soon as we can.
Definitely. We'll include those links in the description down below. For the Jumpstart viewers, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we're going to see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.